On December 11, 2008, 6 months after she was last seen, the body of 2-year-old Caylee Anthony was found less than a mile from her family home. Her mother had not reported her missing for 31 days and was later found not guilty of her murder. So 16 years later, the question remains, who killed Caylee? August 9, 2005. Caylee Anthony was born on August 9, 2005, in Orlando, Florida. Her mother, Caylee Anthony, who was only 19 at the time, had reportedly tried to conceal her pregnancy for several months. Speculation and uncertainty also surrounded the identity of Caylee's father. At the time, Caylee was dating a man named Jesse Grund, whom she led to believe was the father. However, a paternity test later excluded Grund as Caylee's biological father. In a 2021 interview for the documentary Where the Truth Lies, Caylee claimed she had fallen pregnant after passing out and being raped at a house party. Until the time of her death, Caylee lived with her mother in the Orlando home of her grandparents, Cindy and George Anthony. June 16, 2008. The day after a family argument, Caylee took Caylee and drove away from her parents' home. This was the last time that anyone other than Caylee is known to have seen the toddler. Exactly what happened to Caylee after that day is not known. Despite efforts from Cindy and George to reconcile with their daughter, they would not hear from her for the next 31 days. July 15, 2008. 31 days after his daughter and granddaughter left home, George Anthony was informed that the family car Caylee was using had been impounded. When he went to collect the car, he was overwhelmed by a terrible smell inside it. Fearing for her granddaughter's safety, Cindy Anthony called 911, reporting that her granddaughter had been missing for 31 days. During the call, Cindy expressed distress and confusion, stating that Caylee's car smelled like there's been a dead body in it. July 16, 2008. Police questioned Caylee about the whereabouts of her missing toddler. Caylee did not appear to be concerned about the child, and instead sent police on a wild goose chase. Caylee claimed that Caylee had been kidnapped by a nanny named Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez on June 9th. However, this story quickly unraveled, as police found no evidence that this nanny ever existed. Also, despite claiming that her child had been kidnapped more than a month earlier, Caylee had not reported it to the police. Cindy and George Anthony also confirmed they had seen Caylee after June 9th. Caylee then took police to Universal Studios, where she claimed to work, only to admit that she hadn't worked there since Caylee's birth. Caylee's apparent lack of concern about her daughter's disappearance and the conflicting stories she told investigators deepened suspicion around her. Police arrested Caylee, charging her with child neglect, lying to investigators, and interfering with a criminal investigation. After cadaver dogs identified the odor in Caylee's car as human decomposition, her bond was set at $500,000. August 20, 2008. A California bounty hunter named Leonard Padilla posted the $500,000 bond in the hope that Caylee would lead police to Caylee. However, Caylee provided no new information about Caylee's whereabouts or what happened to the toddler. Instead, on August 20th, she stole and cashed checks from a friend. The following day, August 30th, her bond was rescinded. December 11, 2008. 6 months after Caylee was last seen, a utility worker named Ray Kronk alerted police to a bag of human bones in a wooded area less than half a mile from the Anthony home. The remains were wrapped in a blanket and stuffed in a laundry bag, and duct tape was found near the skull, leading some to speculate that Caylee had been suffocated. December 20, 2008. The Orange County Chief Medical Examiner confirmed that the remains were those of 2-year-old Caylee Anthony. Due to the advanced state of decomposition, the exact cause of death could not be definitively established. The cause of death was reported as homicide by undetermined means. May 24, 2011. Caylee Anthony's trial began in Orlando, Florida. Prosecutors sought the death penalty, arguing that Caylee had killed Caylee to rid herself of parental responsibilities. They claimed she had suffocated Caylee with duct tape and pointed to Casey's behavior in the days following Caylee's disappearance, such as partying at nightclubs and getting a tattoo reading Bella Vita, Italian for beautiful life, as proof of her indifference. The defense, led by attorney Jose Baez, countered by suggesting Caylee had accidentally drowned in the family pool, and Casey's father, George Anthony, helped cover up the incident. Baez further claimed Casey's lies and erratic behavior stemmed from a history of sexual abuse by her father, though no concrete evidence supported this. George Anthony vehemently denied these accusations. The defense also attacked Ray Kronk, alleging that he had stolen and hidden Caylee's body to collect a reward, though they never explained how Kronk would have known where Caylee's body was. The trial featured dramatic moments, including testimonies from Casey's friends, family, and forensic experts. Forensic expert Arpad Voss testified for the prosecution, claiming the odor in Anthony's car trunk could only be explained by human decomposition. His testimony was called into question by a defense witness. Software designer John Dennis Bradley testified that the Anthony family computer had been used to search for chloroform shortly before Caylee vanished. However, Cindy Anthony testified that she had been responsible for the search while looking up chlorophyll. She also claimed that her statement to 911 that Casey's car smelled like a dead body had been in it was just a figure of speech. George Anthony also testified, denying Casey's claims of sexual abuse and any involvement in a cover-up of Caylee's death. George's credibility was called into question by defense witness Crystal Holloway. Holloway had volunteered in the search for Caylee and claimed to have had an affair with George. She claimed that George had told her that Caylee's death was an accident that snowballed out of control. George denied the affair and said that he suspected Caylee's death was accidental, but did not know that for a fact. During the trial, 400 pieces of evidence were presented. The prosecution called 59 witnesses, and the defense called 47. Without a definitive cause of death, the prosecution relied on Casey's behavior to make their case. However, they were unable to establish a definitive link between Casey and Caylee's death. The defense created reasonable doubt by proposing an alternative version of events and casting suspicion of George Anthony and Ray Kronk while painting Casey as a victim. July 5, 2011. The jury deliberated for just 11 hours before delivering a verdict. Caylee Anthony was found not guilty of first-degree murder, aggravated manslaughter, and aggravated child abuse. She was, however, found guilty of 4 counts of providing false information to law enforcement, for which she was sentenced to time already served. In an anonymous statement to People after the trial, one juror summarized the case, saying, "Generally, none of us liked Caylee Anthony at all. She seems like a horrible person, but the prosecutors did not give us enough evidence to convict." July 17, 2011. Caylee Anthony was released from the Orange County Jail, having spent almost 3 years behind bars awaiting trial. In the aftermath of the case, several states implemented Caylee's law, making it a felony for parents or guardians to fail to report a missing child in a timely manner. In August 2011, the Florida Department of Children and Families released a report on Caylee's death, concluding that Caylee failed to protect her child from harm, either through her actions or lack of actions, which tragically resulted in the child's untimely death. In March 2017, Caylee gave an interview to the Associated Press, claiming she had no idea what happened to Caylee, stating, "As I stand here today, I can't tell you one way or another. The last time I saw my daughter, I believed she was alive and was going to be okay." This contradicted both her defense at trial, where she claimed Caylee had accidentally drowned, and her initial statement to police that Caylee had been kidnapped. The Anthony case has left a lasting impact on American culture and the justice system. It remains a cautionary tale about the limits of forensic science, the challenges of proving guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and the dangers of media sensationalism. Nobody else has ever been implicated in Caylee's death. If the Anthonys were the only people with Caylee at the time of her disappearance, it must follow that one, or all of them, knows the truth of what happened to the innocent little girl. It was their responsibility to protect her, so their silence makes this tragedy all the harder to accept.